In 1945, Japan had no army, no air force, and no right to wage war. In 2025, it's loading its warships with cruise missiles, arming its islands with stealth fighters, and preparing for battle in cyber, space, and beyond. Let's put this into perspective. Japan's new missiles can fly from Tokyo to Shanghai in under 30 minutes, and hit with surgical precision. That's not the range of a regional power. That's the reach of a country preparing for real war. And make no mistake, Japan is not just rearming, it's reawakening. For 80 years, Japan was defined by Article 9 of its constitution, the so-called Peace Clause. It renounced war, swore off aggression, maintained a strictly self-defense force, but starting in 2022, something shifted. Fast forward to 2025, and Japan has approved a defense budget of $55 billion, the largest in its post-war history. That number will rise to over $65 billion by 2027, putting Japan on track to become the third largest defense spender on Earth, behind only the US and China, and the spending isn't for show. Japan is not just flexing muscle, it's forging a military that can act independently, preemptively, and globally. So what triggered this transformation? 3 words: China, North Korea, uncertainty. China is building warships at record speed and swarming disputed waters near Japan with Coast Guard and naval vessels. It has militarized islands across the South China Sea, and it's making daily incursions into Japanese airspace near the Senkaku Islands. North Korea is launching missiles without warning, sometimes directly over Japan. In 2022 and 2023, Tokyo's emergency systems were triggered by missiles flying overhead, waking up millions to sirens. The message was clear: Japan was within striking distance and couldn't strike back. And then there's the uncertainty in Washington. America is still Japan's ally, but the political winds shift fast. Japan saw Afghanistan. It saw debates about NATO, about Taiwan. It realized something chilling. If things go wrong, no one's coming to save us in time. So Japan isn't waiting, it's arming for autonomy, and it's not looking back. Japan's military doctrine used to be simple: don't strike first. Now, that's exactly what it's preparing to do. Tokyo has approved what it calls counter-strike capability, a clean phrase for something revolutionary. If Japan believes a missile attack is imminent, it won't wait. It will launch, fast, hard, and deep into enemy territory. Japan is buying 400 U.S. Tomahawk cruise missiles, the same ones used by the U.S. Navy to flatten targets in Iraq and Syria. These aren't short-range defensive interceptors. They can fly more than 1,600 kilometers, nap of the Earth, guided by satellite, and strike within a few feet of their target. That puts Beijing, Pyongyang, and even parts of Russia directly within Japan's reach, without leaving Japanese soil. Japan is fast-tracking development of its own long-range standoff missiles. Weapons it can launch from warships, aircraft, or mobile platforms hidden in remote island forests. These missiles are being built not just to respond to war, but to shape it, and they'll be ready for deployment by 2026. Japan is converting 2 of its largest warships, the Izumo and the Kaga, to operate F-35B stealth jets, the same vertical landing aircraft used by the U.S. Marines. These warships were originally labeled helicopter destroyers. Now, they're functionally aircraft carriers. And once the F-35Bs are fully on board, Japan will be able to launch stealth airstrikes from the sea, well beyond its territorial waters. Think about that. Japan, the nation that swore off aggression for 3 generations, will soon be able to project air power across entire regions. Not only that, its air force is adding dozens more F-35As for land operations. These jets can link directly with U.S. systems, share target data in real time, and coordinate multi-domain operations with ships, satellites, and ground units. In other words, Japan is becoming interoperable with the U.S. military at every level, and it's not just about matching technology. Japan's armed forces are being retrained for a different kind of fight, one where speed, precision, and coordination with allies are key. Gone are the days of waiting to be attacked. Japan is building a military that can blind the enemy, strike preemptively, and cripple infrastructure before the first missile lands. This isn't a revision of history, it's a full rewrite, and it's happening in real time, faster than most of the world realizes. While the world debates whether Japan is allowed to have an army, Japan is already building a military that spans land, sea, air, cyber, and space. And here's the part that no one's talking about. Japan isn't just rearming for defense, it's reshaping Asia's entire military landscape. Let's start with geography. Japan isn't just one island. It's a chain of over 6,000, stretching thousands of kilometers across the Pacific. And right now, Japan is turning its southernmost islands into launch platforms. On Okinawa and the nearby Ryukyu Islands, Japan is deploying long-range missile batteries, upgraded radar stations, and F-35 stealth fighters. It's even building new airstrips on remote outposts, the kind of places that used to have fishing villages, not fighter hangars. Why? Because those islands sit right on the doorstep of Taiwan, and just a few hundred kilometers from Chinese ballistic missile units. In military terms, Japan is building a frontline shield, not for Japanese territory alone, but for the entire Western Pacific. And here's the twist. The farther China reaches, the more Japan digs in. But Tokyo isn't doing this alone. It's not just cooperating with the United States, it's building a coalition of counterbalance. Japan's partnership with the US is ironclad and deeper than it's ever been. The US Marine Corps has already rotated missile units to Okinawa. American and Japanese forces now conduct regular joint drills simulating Taiwan invasion scenarios, and in 2024, the US began integrating early warning radar and satellite systems with Japan's air and missile defense grid. Japan has signed a reciprocal access agreement with Australia, a deal that allows Japanese troops to train and operate from Australian soil and vice versa. Joint maritime patrols, anti-submarine exercises, and coordinated supply chains are now routine between Tokyo and Canberra. And guess who else is in the loop? India. As part of the Quad alliance, along with the US and Australia, Japan is strengthening military ties with India, focusing on Indo-Pacific surveillance, maritime security, and technology sharing. What's forming is more than cooperation. It's a web, a strategic lattice of democracies built to keep China's ambitions in check. And Japan isn't just importing power, it's starting to export it. For decades, Japan avoided selling arms abroad. That era is over. In 2024, Japan sent radar systems and patrol vessels to the Philippines. It's negotiating deals with Vietnam and Indonesia for drones, sensors, and Coast Guard cutters. And Japanese firms are now cleared to develop missiles, aircraft, and surveillance systems for foreign partners. This is more than industry, this is influence. Every radar Japan sells is a node in its regional network. Every patrol boat deployed in Southeast Asia is one less opening for China's maritime militias. Now combine that with Japan's biggest swing yet, the launch of the Global Combat Air Program, GCAP, a sixth-generation stealth fighter jet co-developed with the UK and Italy. This jet won't just fly faster or stealthier, it will command drones, analyze battlefields with AI, and link with satellites in orbit. It's not science fiction, it's already in prototype. And it places Japan squarely in the elite tier of future-facing military aviation. From Tokyo to London to Rome, Japan is writing a new doctrine. No more outsourcing defense, no more waiting for help, no more limiting strike power to its own borders. And in this new map of Asia, Japan isn't the bystander, it's the keystone, the force holding the region's military balance together. By now, one thing should be clear, Japan is no longer preparing to defend, it's preparing to lead. By 2026, Japan will deploy its first homegrown long-range cruise missiles, standoff weapons designed to take out missile launchers, radar systems, and airfields before they can strike. By 2027, the Izumo and Kaga will both be able to launch stealth jets from the ocean, putting strike capability on the move, invisible, unpredictable, and fast. By 2028, the 6th-gen fighter under the GCAP program could be undergoing active field tests featuring drone command, AI targeting, and real-time cloud-based data warfare. And the budget's locked in for more than $65 billion per year, every year. That's not a spike, that's the new normal. Meanwhile, Tokyo is already coordinating with US Indo-Pacific Command, aligning strike doctrines, cyber intel, and orbital surveillance. So if a crisis breaks out over Taiwan, if North Korea fires a missile into Japanese airspace again, or if a Chinese submarine breaches Japanese waters near the Senkaku Islands, Japan has remembered that peace without power is just hope. Now it has power, and it intends to use it wisely but without hesitation. The world is entering a new era of military parity, the old assumptions are breaking down, and in the Indo-Pacific, there's no more hiding behind constitutions or polite neutrality. The next time missiles fly, Japan won't be a bystander, it may be the first to respond and possibly the difference between order and chaos. And here's what no one is ready for. What happens when the country that renounced war becomes the one most prepared to wage it? That's the question we'll be answering. One strike, one doctrine, one weapon system at a time. So if you want to stay ahead of the curve, if you want to see the future of warfare unfold before it makes headlines, then stay tuned. Because this isn't just Japan's story. It's the world's next battlefield. and we'll be watching it unfold, move by move, right here on Battlefield Watch. Subscribe to stay ahead of the first strike.